In Texas, 1939, there lived a young boy named Bernard. He wasn't just an ordinary shoeshiner. He strategically set up his stand right in front of the bank. But why, you ask? Well, it was all part of his plan. He chose to shine shoes for rich white folks, not for the small change he earned, but for something much more valuable. You see, Bernard had a knack for eavesdropping on the financial conversations of the white people waiting at the bank. Slowly and carefully, he absorbed their secrets. As soon as they left, Bernard would jot down these valuable tidbits in his trusty notebook. Why? Because he had big dreams of becoming a banker himself. Now, life in Texas for black people in those days was tough, filled with discrimination. Bernard's father sadly told him that his dream was impossible. But Bernard, with determination in his eyes, refused to accept that. Fast forward 15 years. Bernard, now a grown man, moved to Los Angeles with his wife Eunice and their children. Although racial discrimination wasn't as severe as in Texas, the family had to settle in a cramped utility room at a relative's place. But Bernard made a promise to Eunice. They would soon have their own home. Embarking on a new journey, Bernard decided to become a real estate agent. Observing the city keenly, he noticed a stark contrast between the black and white communities. Black neighborhoods were overcrowded, while white areas had many vacant houses. Bernard, with his sharp business mind, saw an opportunity. He spotted a rundown, weed-covered apartment owned by a white individual. Despite its condition, Bernard saw its strategic location next to the black community. Approaching the owner, he proposed a deal. Purchase the apartment for $30,000 up front, and an additional $5,000 once all the rooms were rented out. Though the owner admired Bernard's idea, he was hesitant to take risks. Bernard, understanding the concerns, left gracefully, determined to find another opportunity to turn the tides. Here, Bernard notices something interesting: the owner's calendar, a gift from a local bank manager. An idea strikes him. He bids farewell to the owner and heads straight to the bank, hoping to meet the manager. The manager's secretary, however, prejudiced against black people, refuses to connect him. Patiently waiting for hours, Bernard finally catches the manager as he exits. With determination, he shares his plan to benefit one of the bank's VIP customers and requests a loan. The manager, without much thought, declines. Later that night, the owner calls, questioning if Bernard used his name for the loan attempt. Apologetic, Bernard explains. Surprisingly, the owner doesn't scold him but admires his persistence. In a twist, the owner decides to back the loan, marking Bernard's first from the bank. He secures the property. Upon arrival, a white lady confronts Bernard, assuming he's a worker. Calmly, he states he's the owner, leaving the lady speechless. Soon the police arrive, responding to a call from the old lady. Bernard, prepared for trouble, shows his real estate certificate. The police, realizing the property is indeed his, leave abruptly. Returning to the building, the old lady, now aware of Bernard's ownership, tells him to leave. Unfazed, Bernard asserts his ownership. The old lady, frustrated, moves out. Bernard seizes the opportunity, renting to a black tenant, as he foresaw. The building fills up fast, and Bernard pays the follow-up payment to the former owner. Impressed, the former owner suggests a business partnership. They plan deals discreetly to avoid racial biases, and success follows. Bernard upgrades from an apartment to a mansion, providing a happy life for his family. His wisdom lies in not retaliating against discrimination, choosing to play by his rules, rational economics, and maximum profit. As we know that life doesn't always go smoothly, and challenges can pop up unexpectedly. In Bernard's case, the former owner he worked with suddenly passes away, leaving his shares to his wife. Unfortunately, she holds strong prejudices against black people and refuses to cooperate with Bernard. She offers to buy his shares at a low price, and if he disagrees, she threatens to sue him. In that era, where racial bias often influences judgments, Bernard faces an unfair situation. Not willing to be treated unjustly, Bernard decides to go to court, but he needs someone to testify to his cooperative relationship with the old owner. The bank manager, his initial choice, has already sided with the widow, leaving Bernard extremely disappointed. As he stands in the bank, he notices systematic discrimination due to the color of his skin. A bold plan forms in Bernard's mind. There are 4 banks in one building, each closing doors for him. He decides, I will buy this building, and see who dares to discriminate against me again. Bernard shares his idea with Joe, another black real estate developer in Los Angeles. Initially skeptical, Joe realizes Bernard is a thoughtful rationalist. Why does Bernard want the building? Owning it means the banks inside will serve him, giving him an advantage in real estate. To navigate negotiations with white people, they need a white agent. Bernard has someone in mind, Matt, who has assisted with renovations. Bernard and Joe train Matt in golf, high-class manners, mathematical thinking, and real estate. Matt impresses with his quick learning, becoming proficient at golf and real estate calculations. At a golf club, Matt encounters the owner of the bank building, arranged by Joe. The conversation goes well, and Matt gets the chance to buy the building. Bernard ensures Matt is well prepared, guiding him to count lights after dark, calculate the vacancy rate, and estimate the building's value based on revenue and operating costs. Armed with these numbers, Matt heads into negotiations with newfound confidence. This is Bernard's strategic move. Despite the big boss trying to trick them about the property, Matt stays ahead with exact numbers, surprising everyone. They think he's a math genius who can't be fooled. In the end, Bernard secures the building initially priced at over $2.4 million for just $1.56 million. Now, whenever Bernard enters or leaves, bank presidents come to shake his hand. With support from the banking industry, Bernard and Joe's real estate careers take off. They break Los Angeles' strict segregation, allowing young and promising blacks to move into white neighborhoods. In 1963, Bernard visits Texas with his family. His father, Britton, expresses pride in his accomplishments. Strolling through town, they end up at the bank where Bernard once shined shoes. They encounter a young boy doing the same, but he only shines shoes for white people. This sparks something in Bernard, making him determined to change things and help the black community in his hometown. The next day, Bernard proposes to Joe that they buy the Mainland Bank in Texas. Joe initially thinks Bernard is crazy due to severe racism in the state. However, Bernard convinces him with compelling reasons. Recruiting Matt once again, they meet the bank owner, Robert Florence Sr. and Jr. Despite Jr.'s suspicions, Sr. sells the bank to Matt and his partners. With the Mainland Bank in their hands, Bernard starts helping African Americans in town get approved for loans. However, trouble arises when Florence Jr. investigates the approved loans. He confronts them, threatening with a letter from the U.S. Treasury Department, claiming an inspection in a month. As they strategize their next move, Matt suggests buying another bank and transferring the problem loans there. They consider the Bank of Marlin Moore, but Bernard acknowledges the challenge of overseeing its operations. In response, Matt suggests running the new bank. Bernard feels uneasy but agrees, letting Eunice keep an eye on Matt. Eventually, Matt gets to run the bank as he wanted. The next day, Matt meets a lawyer and signs loan contracts. Later, Florence Jr. calls about clients withdrawing money from Mainland. To worsen matters, a federal bank examiner arrives at Marlin to assist Matt. Bernard disguises himself as a janitor to attend the meeting, but it doesn't help. The examiner finds a critical problem with several loans, leaving Bernard shocked. They discover it was Florence Jr.'s doing. Matt, rushing to run his bank, skipped protocols and used a lawyer recommended by Florence, who slipped in problematic loans. Bernard and Joe advise Matt to walk away from the Bank of Marlin, but he makes a move without informing them. Joe learns the next day, rushing to Mainland Bank with Bernard. Confronting Matt about the loans, they are unaware Florence watches proudly. The federal bank examiners revoke Mainland Bank's license. Leaving the building, the FBI arrests Bernard and Joe. Despite Bernard's struggle, it's futile. Later, Bernard and Joe meet their lawyer, learning their case involves racial politics. Meanwhile, Matt talks to Senator McClellan about testifying against his partners for freedom. Contemplating his move that night, Matt follows McClellan's suggestions. The next day, he testifies against Bernard and Joe at the Senate hearing. Later in the day, Bernard meets with McClellan. McClellan proposes a deal, offering Bernard two options. Option 1, take an immunity deal, confirm Matt's testimonies, and avoid jail. Option 2, speak freely and end up in prison. After some thinking, Bernard decides to share the words he kept in his heart for years. He talks about racial discrimination in the country. Following the hearing, Bernard and Joe's fortunes take a nosedive. They end up sentenced to federal prison. Meanwhile, Florence Jr. buys the Mainland Bank for a fraction of what Bernard and Joe paid for it. Surprisingly, Matt Steiner faces no charges. Years later, Bernard and Joe are released from prison. Eunice, puzzled by their apparent happiness despite losing everything, learns the truth. Joe reveals they now own neighboring properties in the Bahamas. Eunice is shocked and asks Bernard how this came to be. It turns out that the person Matt called the night before, his testimony was Bernard. Matt informed Bernard about the senator's deal and apologized. In return, Bernard asked for a favor to protect their assets before the government could seize them. The movie concludes by revealing that Bernard and Joe's residential properties played a crucial role in the fight against housing segregation in LA. They still own 2 mansions side by side in the Bahamas. Thanks for your time. Please like and subscribe.